Welcome to City Life. Good to have you here watching. Today on the program, we look at the Central City Plan and a 48-hour design challenge. Some actors from Sweet Pheobe as part of the Canterbury Celebration Theatre, as well as Ross Gumbley from the Court Theatre, and Style with Stephanie Rumble from Flair Image. But first on the program, Reid Stiven from the EQC. How are you?
Good, Kanita.
How are things going this week?
Well, it's been a big week for all of us contemporaries with the red zone announcement, the orange zone, white zone, green zone. So we're going really well, trying hard to support Sarah by getting through the red zone inspections. Obviously there's going to be some priority around orange zone as well, so we're just doing some planning with that as we speak. Okay.
Does it make your job easier having the zones to work with? Or more manageable, I suppose?
No, I think one of the beauties of the rapid assessment is that it never took into account land in lots of respects. We recorded land, but it was based on building damage. So a lot of the homes that are in the red and orange zone, we've actually seen. So we think maybe 500 left to do in the red zone, and a real big whack of the orange zone have been done already. So you're pretty happy with that. Okay,
I've got some questions here about the zoning. If my house is in the red zone, do I still have to wait to get my EQC claim assessed and settled? And how long will this take?
We've undertaken that we'll try and have all those done by the end of the week, this week. So people in that red zone, about 500 we think that haven't been seen, should be hearing from us soon. We're going to do some work later in the week, giving them some help to come back to us if they've not heard from us. So watch the space, there'll be something later in the week.
Okay, and of course these are CTV, City Life viewer questions that I'm asking you today. Now, if my property is in the green zone but has been damaged, what happens to me?
Yeah, continuing our inspections in the green zone. As I said, Rapid identified houses that worst damage to least damage, so we know that there are some significantly damaged homes in the green zone that we're still to see, and we'll be continuing to push on with those as well.
Okay. What if I'm in the orange zone and still don't know?
Yeah, that's pretty tough, isn't it? We are working towards a plan to get through the orange zone, identifying areas that we know we haven't been to yet, homes we haven't seen, and we'll be prioritising them as soon as we finish the red zone.
And what is EQC's role regarding land?
Well, red zone, it's passed over to Sarah, but we still have a role to play in the green zone, which is really based around a traditional EQC land settlement. So people in the green zone with land damage can expect to hear from us in due course about land settlement. That's not going to be overnight, but we will be in touch in due course.
Okay. Why are EQC and Sarah both making decisions based on information from the same engineering company, Tonkin and Taylor?
You know, we've had a long-standing relationship with Tonkin and Taylor. They've been our consultants for 30 years. They've actually split off to two divisions for this. There's a team that are engaged with Sarah, a team that are engaged with us. And the Tonkin and Taylor team that are working direct to EQC, we're just one of many agencies that have provided information to Sarah to help them come to the decisions they come to.
Okay. What if I'm in the red zone but my house needs emergency repairs from the latest earthquake?
Yeah, still happy to do those. Obviously, more people that can stay in their home, the better. People need to know that if we complete those repairs, that is deducted from their final settlement. But I think on that basis they should talk to their insurers, because those emergency repairs done to keep people in their homes obviously alleviates any alternative accommodation claim they may have with their insurers. So engage with your insurer. And public meetings this week, we've heard council talking about continuing to get sewers connected so people can live there more comfortably.
Okay. What does the recent Sarah announcement mean for EQC's work and priorities?
Look, we're looking at that again now, as we do. We review often about where we are, where we're going. Part of the master game plan, I suppose, Kanita. But look, we're going to, as I said, get that red zone cleared, get into the orange, but we are continuing to see homes in the green zone. They're just as important, people with significant damage, and we want to keep feeding work to Fletchers. We need repairs to continue. So we've got a large proportion of our workforce assigned to the green zone. Okay.
Halfway through the questions.
Gee.
All right, is there a new EQC excess when something damaged in the first quake is further damaged in subsequent events? Yeah. Thus, is it necessary to make a new claim for increased damage, and is there a further excess on each, even though it is the same thing, only more?
That's a good question. What we're saying is that if you've got a crack from one earthquake that just gets slightly bigger, so it's not going to cost any more money to fix it, then don't make a new claim. But if you've had a crack on one wall on one end of the house, and then from another earthquake you get another crack at the other end of the house, so they're completely different, can't be repaired together, then you need to make a new claim. And yes, unfortunately, the extra excess will apply.
Okay. Is there an I think I've already read that one. Okay, why does EQC not answer emails? My family have sent several emails, they never get a reply. One time they did get a reply, but it was for someone else. Accidentally came to us, the wrong people, very rude. Yes, they can use the phone, but the person they get when they phone never knows the answer and never the same person. I'm worried about people like me who can't phone. I am deafblind. I have to use email. Does that mean I will never get a reply? How do you expect deaf or deafblind people or people unable to use the phone to contact EQC if they need answers? Yeah,
a bit disappointing, isn't it? Look, the only thing I can say is that we've got 300,000 claims. People email and it takes time to get through them. Unless we know someone's circumstances, it makes it hard to prioritise. So I'm happy to provide an email address to you to get back to this person so that we can help them.
I will definitely be doing that. Okay. Jerry Brownlee is saying those in the green can go ahead and repair, rebuild, but EQC Facebook division is saying that they are finishing assessments in the red zone, then moving to orange. How are us in the green supposed to start rebuilding, repairing without an assessment? And what is the point of assessing areas that are waiting for land assessments when you could be assessing those of us that can start repair, rebuild work now?
Yeah. Look, we just talked before about how we've continued to inspect in the green zone. About 40% of our staff are tasked to those areas at the moment. Look, and I think we need to help Sarah give some people in that orange zone surety. Green know that they're going to be able to rebuild, and I understand the frustration about not being able to push on because they haven't seen us. Red people, the people in the red zone have some surety, whether that's good or bad, I don't know. But the people in the orange are in limbo, so we think it's important that we pitch in and help Sarah get them some answers. And if that means we continue with those inspections, then that's what we need to do.
Okay, that's the end of the questions at this stage. There were more, but we don't actually have time for those. How are things going now? What is the main focus this week for EQC?
Supporting Sarah through the red zone. Really keen to get that finished. We're continuing in the green zone, which is good news for some of those people. Then we really want to clear the orange zone, where people have no surety about their futures. We want to, as I said, pitch in, help Sarah get the answers to them, and they need our answers in terms of what it's going to cost to repair their home so they can make decisions around the options that they have.
Thanks for coming to the programme today, Reid. Now, if you do have some questions for Reid, you can email me, kaneta@ctv.co.nz with your questions, and I'll give them to him next week. To get in touch with the EQC, that's 0800 DAMAGE, 0800 326 243, 0800 326 243, or you can go online, eqc.govt.nz, or of course the interactive tool of Facebook, facebook.com/The Earthquake Commission. We'll be back after this break. Welcome back to City Life. Now, I'd like to welcome Adam from the Christchurch City Council, here to talk about the Central City Plan. Now, what is it?
So the Central City Plan is the strategic document. Essentially, Sarah set up a couple of recovery plans, and they're in charge of a lot of the suburban plans and the main strategic recovery document. The one part that's been actually delegated by legislation to us is the Central City Plan. And so we have a staff of just about, I think it's about 40 or 50 people, and some external consultants as well, working on developing a plan for the Central City going forward. And it's about trying to figure out what we're going to do within the 4 Avs. In other words, how we're going to recover it, how we're going to get business back, how we're going to get people back, and how we're going to create a vibrant city for our future.
So where are these ideas coming from? So
there are 92,000 ideas that came from the Share an Idea process, and some of them have really been spectacular. What I thought was really great was seeing the degree of public involvement and business involvement and community involvement generally. This really is a collaborative effort between the community, business leaders, community group leaders, and the public at large. And those ideas have been really spectacular. And what's really good to see is that there's a lot of consistency between the two groups. Historically, you know, we often get a great deal of consistency, but usually on the edges, at least, there's a bit of tension between sometimes what businesses want and what the public want generally, or between what some community groups want and what the public want generally. This time, it's very consistent, and there are a lot of great ideas, and we're really excited about that.
Can you tell me about some of the great ideas that are coming out?
Absolutely. So, I mean, one of the things that we've talked about a lot, and, you know, so what we talk about when we talk about the Central City Plan are the areas bounded by the 4 avenues. And one of the things that have been talked about quite a great deal by both business and by the public generally is that the Central City, so the CBD component, in other words, where the vast majority of business and office space needs to be smaller than that 4 avenues. And it already was. But I think there's an increasing view that that needs to be rationalized even further. At least that's what's come through in terms of the public consultation. business and public both think that there will probably need to be some encouragement in the short term to attract businesses and residents back into the centre. And I think there's a real view that we want to keep the city to have boutique retailing, to have a vibrant core, to have something north of 50,000 employees in the central city. The target is 100,000 employees actually in the central city. We had about 50,000 before, so we want to increase that employee complement. So there's a lot of consistency around those sorts of views, and also around having residents in the central city. People really know that high-performing, vibrant cities have a big resident complement. And we've seen that overseas, we've seen that in Australia, we've seen that even in Auckland and Wellington to some degree. And I think that that's something that Christchurch really wants to get on board with.
Okay. What needs to happen first before any of this needs to be done? I know that Restart 2019-11 is starting, well, in the next couple of months. But what else needs to be done to start the Central City Plan?
Well, to start the Central City Plan, the plan actually needs to be adopted by councillors. Right now, we're well advanced in terms of the writing and the development of the plan. Our first final draft internally is nearly complete, but we still have a lot of tweaking to do in terms of some of the content. It's probably about 80 or 90% complete at this stage. It needs to go to the councillors, and then it goes out for public consultation on the 22nd of August. So this whole Share an Idea concept, which closed on the 20th of June, is really just the first part of a consultative process with businesses and with the community. We're sort of hoping to have probably an 80% plan, right? Something that people could look at, can comment on, and that we can move forward with. But obviously we're open to changes, and that's, I think, the really important message here, that the public and the business community, even once this plan comes out, there's a formal consultative process that we're going to go through with them.
All the ideas for the rebuild of the Central City, are they coming from the public or the community? I mean, how many of these ideas to do with the rebuild are coming from the community?
Oh, I mean, in terms of, if you talk about the broad community, if you talk about the business community, if you talk about the community at large, I can't put a number on it, but I mean, a lot of the ideas have been sparked by community action, by business group action, and by the Share an Idea concepts. We've had business leaders approach us directly, and some have great ideas, and we talk about those to the community in the community workshops that we've done. And I think that, so I mean, I can't put a number on what percentage of ideas in the plan came from the community directly, but it's a vast number. And you also have to understand that there's a lot of overlap there, right? We have a lot of professionals working on this who, do urban planning and urban design and economic development for a living. So while the ideas are great to see from the public, and there's often a lot of overlap with the ideas that we kind of already had, or we're already heading down in that track. And it's not like we were starting from scratch. The City Council has done a lot of work in the Central City space in the past. We had a Central City team historically. We had a group of people working on the Central City. We'd even looked we'd even looked at some of the incentives prior to the 22nd of February earthquake for some types of business development and residential development at a staff level. So in terms of that, I mean, I can't put a number on it, but it's a good chunk.
What I was trying to get at is, are the ideas coming from the community, or are they coming from within the council?
The ideas are coming from the community. I mean, the big ideas are coming from the community, and I think that that's really important. So in terms of some of the things that the community really wants, in terms of free Wi-Fi, in terms of a high-tech city, in terms of making sure that there are certain types of jobs in the Central City, those come from the public consultation. In terms of Central City living, that's coming from the public consultation. So I think in terms of that, yes, a lot of that's coming from.
Okay. Now this weekend is the 48-hour Designer City competition.
Yes.
And we're having Mike from that group on the programme a little bit later on. But you're involved with it?
I am, yes. I'm going to be one of the wandering participants. So obviously, being a Central City Council employee, I can't actually be a participant in it directly, but I'll be giving some professional advice to the teams as they work through it. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you so much for coming on the programme.
Thank you.
Good to have you here.
Thank you.
After the break, we catch up with Ken from Citizens Advice. You're back with City Life, and I'd like to welcome to the programme Ken from Citizens Advice. Good to have you here.
Good morning, Kenetta.
So tell me about the role of the Citizens Advice Bureau.
Citizens Advice is an area where people can go for options and choices for different issues, everything from consumer issues, like they might be having a problem with the PlayStation that they bought, or they might be tenancy issues, employment issues. And of course, over the last 9 months, there's been a lot of issues surrounding our region with earthquakes, and etc.
We'll come back to that in a minute. Where do you get your advice from?
We do a lot of research. We have a database we go from through our computers out at Hornby and at Bishopdale, but also over the last few months I've been developing networking with different organisations, father and child, single women as parents, age concern. We go to those people for advice with issues that they may have, like we may have an elderly person ringing up, for example, who might have to move out of their home due to recent events, so then they may not be able to have someone costing or an issue of moving. So we got age concern or web health is another one, and they give us the information, and we can then go back to our clients.
So you can have answers for pretty much anything?
Pretty much. We've even had something simple like a recipe. We've even had those kind of things in the past, or best restaurants in town to eat. Those kind of things we've had, yeah.
Now, it's not just for citizens, is it?
No, no, it's just definitely not for citizens. That's when it started in England pre-World War II. It was started as citizens' advice, and it was in those days was for the citizens. But of course, in the 21st century, where people are more mobile very quickly, and coming up to an important year in Crichton, New Zealand, with Rugby World Cup, a tourist might have a problem with a car they bought, for example, and they might not know where to go. Or again, that comes back to the restaurant thing. People might want to know what they might be from overseas, and they might want to know what restaurant, or the Hagley Park where it's being set up, of course, for Rugby World Cup.
Okay, things like, I'm just going to, for example, bus timetables. Would you be able to give people advice as to when the bus is coming?
Exactly, and that's one thing, especially at the moment with the changes over the last 6 months. That's one question that has been coming up. Are the buses running? When are they running? What services? Do I have to get off at Hagley Park and change? Those kind of questions are coming in, yeah.
Okay. What about ones more recently, things like the zones, like the red, green zones? Do you get questions about those as well? We're
starting to, and indeed with our mobile service that we've established in Christchurch here, which goes back to the roots of citizens' advice, we certainly did that. And last week we were out at Bexley, Hawke Street at the Countdown there, and there was probably 30 people that came up to the caravan, and half those were probably with that question you just mentioned, and there's going to be more of those things and the insurance type questions.
So who are these people that are working at Citizens Advice giving this advice?
They're volunteers, and they range in age right across the board. I'm in my early 40s. There's another one there, another person there who's a little bit younger than me. Mums, single mums, professional people, retired people. And they come from all backgrounds in life, teachers. But what they get out of it, and what certainly me being a volunteer, what we get out of it is we get to meet people, we get to learn things about our city, which is great for me being an Aussie. I'm over here, there's things I've learned about Christchurch that I didn't know about, so there's those kind of things. Just the joy of when you do help someone find their options and choices, and they come through and they say, yeah, thank you very much for that, that was good. And on the other side of the coin, what people who want to volunteer can give is they may have a particular skill set. In my case, it's journalism and marketing, so I'm in that area. They may have a financial background. They may have, because our training and mentoring is ongoing, we have an ongoing training once a month. They may be from a teaching background, so they can come in and get themselves involved in that as well, and that kind of area. So it's a win-win.
Okay, and you're looking for more volunteers at the moment?
We are. We're starting to get back in that mode again. We're picking ourselves up. We've had a lot of movement, and people have had issues with their own personal lives. So for the moment, we are starting to get back in and looking for people, volunteers, especially for the mobile service. This is an important an area in Christchurch at the moment, especially on the eastern side of town, where we're getting in, like a lot of businesses, we were in the CBD, so we had to reinvent ourselves and get ourselves back out there in the marketplace to give people options and choices. So
you're looking for people who have, what, one spare day a week?
One spare day a week. It's 2.5 hours is a commitment for the roster. Right. But having said that, there's always something to learn. There's ongoing training once a month. Hornby and Bishopdale, for example. Recently, one of the ongoing training, we had web health. We've done consumer, because legislation with consumers always changing. Employment's another one. And in times to come, we'll have, as part of our ongoing training, we'll have single women as parents, we'll have father and child come out and talk to us about legislations and what they have to offer. So we, as a business, we can offer you the public better options and choices.
It's a good way to help your community, isn't it?
It is. It's a great way, and again, especially at this time, we've had, I think, after the quake, after February, we had something like 1,900 calls in those first few weeks after Feb 22. So
wow.
that just goes to show there was a need.
What were the questions they were asking?
Again, it was just coming back to what's open. My water's not working. Can you help me out? What libraries? Of course, with each that seems to be an area, and it's the same with that. We've now got a radio program as well on Plains FM every Friday, and it's modelled on the same way. And people, we have the people who from those areas who are our partners, and we talk to them and we learn from them what's open and what they're able to give. Just
briefly, what's in this pamphlet that you've brought along with you today?
That pamphlet there is a snapshot of what we do at Citizens Advice. It tells you about the consumer side of things. It's got our details on it. The fact that we're at Hornby, we're at 8 Goulding Ave is on there. Our website is on there. And, of course, our 0800 number, 0800 367 222. And one thing that isn't on there, but we may look at it doing at a later date, is where we are with our mobile service.
All right.
Which this Friday will be at the Shirley Community Centre, Emmett and Atchison Street, by the park next to the kindergarten there. So that's where we'll be this Friday.
Right.
And we're looking at going back to New Brighton as well.
So how do people find out more about the mobile service? Are you online, putting these details online?
No, not online, but if you go online you can have a look and go and see what other services we do. Or for more information on our mobile service, ring 349 5236 and talk to Molly. That's 349 5236. Or 0800 367 222. And if there's any community groups that do want us out in their area, give us a call at Citizens Advice, and we'll definitely try and get you out there, because this is what it's all about. It's about us coming to you at the moment rather than you coming to us out at Hornby for the face-to-face stuff. But feel free to give a call Monday to Friday 9 to 5. I'll give you options and choices.
0800
0800 367 222 or website www.cab.org.nz.
Ken, thank you for coming on the program today. After the break, Mike from the City Council to talk about a 48-hour design challenge. Welcome back to City Life. Now, earlier in the program we were chatting with Adam about the city plan, and now we're going to talk about a 48-hour design challenge being held this weekend. Mike, tell me how this relates to the city plan.
Well, the 48-hour design challenge is an opportunity for us to get design professionals, architects, urban designers, landscape architects, planners, valuers, to come together and present their ideas about how they might take a slice of the city and redevelop that in the light of the earthquake.
Okay, how many people do you have involved in it?
I think we've allowed for up to 20 teams. Those teams can be between 4 and 7 people. At least one member of the team has to be a student from Lincoln University. And so at the moment I think we've got 13 teams registered, and hopefully by the end of the week we'll have the full 20 teams available.
Well, where did the idea come from?
Well, that's a good question. I think we'd often looked at ways of trying to engage with the design professionals. I mean, there have been a lot of people out there saying they've got particular ideas about how the city could look and feel. But one of our interests is actually getting the different professions to come together and work together. So the idea of putting them into a room together, into a hot house, giving them a chance to do a challenge, letting them be, creative and expressive at the same time was, I think, something that came up through staff, actually.
OK. Let's look at the logistics for this weekend. Tell me about it.
Sure. Well, it's being held out at Lincoln University. Basically, what will happen is each team will be given a limited number of resources. So they'll be, obviously, they'll have drawing equipment, computers, printers, that sort of stuff. And then they'll be given one of a number of scenarios that they're required to do a design outcome for. And one of the key things, I suppose the key parameter they're having to do, is they're having to work within sort of some realistic parameters. So they have to make it work with the building code. They need to understand how it might relate to the properties around it, how it might work with the transport system, how it might comply with the city plan rules. So what we do want is something innovative and sort of constructive, but we don't want anything that's sort of outlandish and not able to actually be realised.
OK, so it's more than fun, it's real life. Really.
Oh, it's real life, all right, and I mean, we will publicise the material that comes out of that, and we hope that they'll stretch some of the the boundaries. We'll hope they'll give us some real innovative outcomes, and we'll test some of those ideas as we go through putting the plan together to see how they could be accommodated.
Okay, so how is the winning team going to be found out?
There is a judging panel. That panel will be announced in the next day or two, and that'll be drawn from across New Zealand. It's going to be interesting because not each of the same teams is going to be dealing with the same topic. So we'll be looking for, I suppose, the team that overall best responds to the earthquake, best meets the sort of the objectives of the city, and best comes up with a creative outcome. But in some respects, the judging and the winning is sort of probably the least important part of it. It's the participation and getting that sort of wealth of ideas coming out.
Okay, but will someone be commissioned in the end to do this design?
No, probably not. It's probably just a thought piece input into the overall planning for the central city.
Okay.
So there to help us stimulate our ideas and give that, those different industry groups a chance to have a positive input into the process.
It seems quite similar to Share an Idea.
Well, it's part of the Share an Idea package.
Okay.
So I suppose Share an Idea was very much looking at how the community might have their ideas. And the community, obviously, as we all know, came back with a wealth of ideas. This is about tackling those people for whom design development is the bread and butter of what they do. So they'll tackle these issues with a slightly different perspective to the community, but it's really all part of the same information gathering that the council's been undertaking for some time.
Are there any rules this weekend?
Not that I'm aware of. I'm sure the people that are actually managing it on the weekend will have some rules. I suspect they're not allowed to burn down each other's models or, steal each other's photographs. But I think it's pretty much an opportunity to be creative.
Any idea of the people who are involved?
Well, in terms of individuals, no, I'm not familiar with any of them. I mean, it's gone out quite widely. As I said, a number of I suppose key professionals around the city, around the country have been involved. We've actually gone out to them through their various professional bodies like the Planning Institute, the Institute of Valuers, the Landscape Architects Institute. So it's being put out through them, and they're drawing their teams from whoever in their industry they choose to represent them.
They must be pretty passionate about a city to give up their weekends to do this kind of thing.
Well, I think a lot of people are very passionate about their city, and you're right. It's 48 hours, it's 2 days, and it's all voluntary time. But I mean, I think what we saw with Share an Idea with the weekend and with the amount of information coming out through the websites and that, people are very interested about what the shape and the look and the feel of the central city will be, because I think we all share and own part of the central city in some way. It gives us identity, so people are really keen to be involved in that.
After the weekend, are we able to sort of look online or anywhere to find out these ideas?
Yeah, I think all the ideas that we get, the sort of final products, will be communicated in some fashion over the coming while, whether that's through the Share an Idea website, whether that's through a number of other media. We'll be making sure that those ideas are out there. And people can see them.
Well, Mike, it seems really interesting. Good luck for this weekend. I hope you have fun and get some sleep. With those 48-hour furious filmmakers, I know that they didn't get much sleep. So
no. Hopefully ours won't be quite as intense, but I'm sure for planners and for architects and for designers it'll be just as exciting.
Yeah, OK. Mike, thanks for coming on the programme.
Thanks very much, Kaneta.
Now I'd like to welcome some actors from Sweet Phoebe, Rachel and Sam. Good to have you here on City Life.
Thanks for having us.
You.
Now, I recognise you from The Importance of Being Earnest.
Yes.
How was that show?
Fantastic. It was an amazing show.
Yeah, it was very good. Now, were you a bit too busy for Earnest?
Well, I just finished Hamlet at the Aurora Centre, which was a pretty intense production.
Yeah.
And, of course, Ernest was meant to be a lot earlier as well, wasn't it?
It was meant to be in May.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
OK.
So, it sort of overlapped a wee bit.
Yeah.
And, so this is my first show with David Sheard.
How's it going?
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. It's really, I mean, it's the first two-man show that I've done in quite a while, and I mean, it's so refreshing to go from a cast of kind of like 30, where everyone kind of it's just so hard to get so many people together in one room like that, especially after February, to just two actors and the director, and it's fantastic, having that sort of intimate sort of quality to it again.
So tell me about Sweet Phoebe. Tell me about the story.
Well, originally it was an Australian play, but we've sort of taken more the New Zealand angle on it, which is good, and it suits what we're doing.
It does.
It's basically about a couple who are quite, I would say, high maintenance, very modern, sophisticated in their minds, and they have a very complex relationship.
Yeah.
Yes, very complex.
Sort of modern kind of yuppies, so to speak. And everything's perfect, you know, their lives are very sort of stylised, and, you know, their house is very minimalist, and everything's, you know, nothing's out of place. It's all very muted and sort of, you know, and the neighbours go off on a week-long sex retreat to try and fix up their crumbling marriage.
Right.
And,
of which you don't have, because
No.
of course
right,
not.
right.
Not on the face of it. Of course, of course not. And they leave us Pheobe, their dog.
Oh.
And of course, you know, from the word go, it's kind of a mess. You know, from the moment that I bring the dog bed in and it doesn't fit with, you know, all the minimalism in the house, and it just, you know, it's just kind of, you know, their lives start to crumble very rapidly.
Right.
And it's just, you know, they just lose it, basically.
So it's set in an apartment.
Yes, it is.
Right.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Now, it's in a marquee, like the theatre now is in a marquee. It's
That's
the
right.
Canterbury Celebration Theatre, month of July in the marquee in Hagley Park.
Yeah.
Now, you've performed in the marquee already. What was it like?
Amazing. Very different from a theatre. Very, very different. You can't even compare. But it's actually more... I think it's a better experience as an actor because it's so intimate and the audience is right there, and you've got to work with completely different settings. I mean, there's no backstage where you have a dressing room and everything's there. I mean, we had a caravan with 8 people crushed into it. So it was a very intimate experience. And I don't know, it's just so different, but it's really good. I think it's quite challenging as an actor, which is good to have. Yeah.
And big costumes as well in a small caravan.
Oh, big costumes.
Yeah.
I think I was in everybody's way with all the big hats, and I think I knocked everybody around, but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot
What's
of
it
fun.
like being so intimate with the audience? You're so close to them. It's kind of like the court, I suppose.
It is a wee bit like the court theatre. I think it's good because it is, like I said about challenging, it is challenging again because it's tempting to sort of look out and sort of see who's there, and you can't do that because the audience can straight away see that you're disconnecting from your character. So it's great because it is a real challenge.
What about you? Are you looking forward to marquee?
Well, I am. I went in there during the day, you know, during earnest to kind of get used to it. And I mean, it is funny. There aren't many sort of theatres that are kind of structured in the way that the tent is. But I mean, I get. It's not really a tent though.
It isn't. It's not. No.
It's got a nice wooden floor.
Yeah.
It's all nice and warm.
So warm.
You know?
It is warm.
It's not what
Yeah.
people expect. You know, they kind of
No.
think, oh my God, you know, middle of July, you know, in a bloody tent in
Yeah.
Hagley Park, you know, we're going to have to go in gumboots and, you know, wear duvets. But it's not like that at all.
No,
You know,
I
very
went on a
heated everywhere.
really, really frosty night,
Yeah.
and it was so warm inside. I took my jacket off even,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
my scarf. So
Yeah, it's good.
it's not going to be cold.
No,
Absolutely
definitely
not.
not.
Yeah.
So, what else are you doing at the moment, and what do you do during the day? I mean, you were talking before about Law Society. You're doing law review.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm about to start Law Review. We're in our 20th year this year, so it's a great show that the law school does every year. It's a comedy, but it is a review, but it's sort of, you've got a licence to talk about anything you want to talk about in the show, so it's fantastic. So during the day, I'm in my final year of law school.
Okay.
And so I finish up at the end of this year, which is great.
Excellent.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you do?
Well,
during the day?
I published my first book last year, which is the cookbook for the Dunsandel store, a year's worth.
Wow.
That's sold quite well, and it went from being, you know, a project that was, it was meant to take about 3 or 4 months to taking about a year and a half, and you know, it's a huge, big kind of, you know, massive volume of recipes.
How awesome!
And it's sold really well. We've got our third print coming from Hong Kong at the moment.
Are you from Dunsandel?
Yes and no. I learned,
What does it mean?
I learned to cook there, and I used to live just down the road.
Did
and,
you?
Yeah. And really good friends of ours own the store there. And Annabelle Graham, she sort of threw me in the deep end after school. You know, I was about to go overseas, and she said, "No, you're not. You're coming to work in the kitchen for me." I think she was just down a chef. But anyway, I sort of found myself not having cooked anything, well, being paid to cook anything in my life, and was kind of alone in a kitchen at 6 in the morning once, you know, just sort of, but you know, it was baptism by fire, but it was great, and sort of taught me everything I needed to know in a very short time.
So you're working on your second book now?
That's right, and I mean, I've had a few setbacks. I was robbed at the end of last year and got everyone just cleaned out everything, all the hard drives and computers and things. So I basically had to start again. But I mean, that's all right. It's kind of like they've got rid of all the bad stuff as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
no, it's good. And at the same time, I'm working on a photography book with a friend of mine.
Cool.
She's got this really cool concept. It's sort of a bit like the sartorialist. And
right.
the beauty of photography as opposed to cooking is that all it requires is just photos and no recipe testing, none of that. So it's just it's fantastic.
Yeah. All right. Sweet Pheobe, it's on. Let me actually. How am I going to go through this?
Yeah.
Can we just go to the Canterbury Celebration Theatre website?
Yes, you can.
Yeah. And bookings 330 332 0039. I'm really shocked with numbers today. 332 0039. Canterbury Celebration. .co.nz. There is a timetable here, but it's all sort of mixed matched a bit. So
well, it's pretty tiny, but it starts on the 12th of July, and it goes through till about the 24th.
And
actually, it starts on the 13th of July, so 13th, 14th. You got a Facebook page though?
We do have a Facebook page.
Okay,
yes.
so we can go online there as well. Okay, Rachel and Sam, so good to have you on the program. We'll be back after this break with Ross Gumbley from the Court Theatre. Welcome back, and I'd like to welcome back to City Life Ross from the Court Theatre. Good to have you here.
Thank you very much, Kenita.
So how are things going at the court at the moment?
Well, great. We've got this new space that we found in Addington, which is a big old ex-grain warehouse, really solid, come through all the earthquakes, completely unscathed. So we're going to build a new theatre inside it. Of course, that's going to take $4.62 million. Which we have to raise, and the way we're going to start to raise that is by a fundraising concert.
Excellent.
Which will be on July the 7th at the Aurora Centre, called Carry On Court.
What can we look forward to at Carry On Court?
Well, Carry On Court is going to be, it's one night only, so this is also the 40th anniversary of the court, so we wanted to celebrate the court, and so we've looked back over the court's rich history of putting on musicals, and we've managed to draw... people just wanted to help us. Actors from throughout the country who've worked at the court before just were more than happy to shelve what they were doing and to come down here and to risk it up. So it's a one night only, fantastic musical extravaganza concert. We've got an orchestra of over 30 on the stage.
Wow.
And we've got people coming from Auckland, George Hanare, Paul Barrett, who's got a long history with us, John O'Martin, they're all arriving from Auckland.
Oh, cool.
Ali Harper. Yeah. It's under the musical direction of Luke De Soma.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Mr. Luke De Soma.
Yeah, that's right. Who's, you know, he's back with us after having trained in New York for 2 years at the Tisch School of the Arts.
Yeah.
This is about the fifth concert that he and I have put on for various reasons and causes. Who knew we'd have a reason for so many causes in this town? You know, but I think it's vital that we get the Court Theatre back up and running. You know, the community needs that. We're getting terrific support from the people of Christchurch, and this is the way, by attending this concert, that they can really help.
So for one night only, how many tickets are on sale?
Well, we want to fill the place. It's a 700-seat theatre, and there are still tickets left to buy.
Good.
So people can go to the website www.courttheatre.org.nz, or they can buy their ticket on 963 0870, which is the standard Court Theatre booking line. Okay,
excellent. Now, is it all going to be music, or is it a little bit of comedy?
Well, I'll be emceeing the show.
Okay.
So
comedy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I'd love to say I'm going to be very serious that night and put on my game face.
Right.
But I will be. Yeah, I can't wait. It's you know, we all need this. The company needs this as a whole. We need to get the Court Theatre back up and running so that we can return Christchurch to some sort of normality, but also that we can provide a home for the people that work here. You know, we don't want to lose talent that we won't be able to get back. You know, the designers, the people that work backstage, the fantastic seamstresses, the people in our workshop. You know, we need a home for them, and so it's vital that we do that. And this is our first step with Carry On Court. And it's going to be wonderful. I think it's going to be very moving to actually be back in that relationship between the audience and us producing work on stage. I think that's something that, you know, that the audience loves. we feel very blessed that our audience has a real sense of ownership. And indeed, you know, the way we run the company is by targeting that, by saying, you know, this company really belongs to the people of Christchurch. And so to stand in front of them again after what seems an eternity, I think will be very moving. I think it's going to be a fantastic night, and you'll certainly want to be there.
I can't wait myself.
Good.
So how are the other people who work for the Court Theatre, how are they spending their days? Like, as you say, the designers and the people who work in the wardrobe?
Well, we're doing plenty. We've got a lot of fundraising things happening, but also we've got a season of 5 women wearing the same dress opening at the Aurora Centre the week after. So from the 14th, we've got a play back on at the Aurora Centre. Just a limited run. It's only on for a week and a half. It's a co-production that we've been working with the Fortune Theatre in Dunedin. So our people have been down to Dunedin to work on the production there. So we sent wardrobe staff down there. We sent our the guys to build the set. You know, all went down to Dunedin. It was always going to be a co-production, but it was going to play in Christchurch and then move to Dunedin. But because of, you know, the fun we've had lately, it opened in Dunedin and now it's coming up here to play. It's a wonderful comedy about bridesmaids.
I think it sounds awesome.
Hence 5 women wearing the same dress.
Actually, it links in quite nicely with that movie Bridesmaids.
It does.
Yeah, which is hilarious, I might add.
As is written by Alan Ball, the guy that wrote 6 Feet Under.
Oh, that's right.
And American Beauty. And I saw the opening night in Dunedin, and I just know our audience is going to love it. It's a great night out. And I think that's what people need. You know, that sense of coming together again as a community, that sense of normality returning, and being able to go out and do something, is just be a sign that our city is starting to get back.
Exactly. Now, finally, the building in Addington, are you building yet?
We're it's with the council. It's up for building consent. So we've got resource consent. We're just waiting for our building certificate. So all the plans are in place, all the detailed drawings. We've done whatever we can, and so the second we find that out, we're going to pull that trigger. It'll be a 6-month build, and we're hoping to be, well, we will be open before the end of the year.
Okay, and other fundraising things you're up to at the moment?
Yeah, the best way to find that out is to go to our website, www.courttheatre.org.nz, or www.icanhelpthecourt. Because we need, you know, people can help us with supplying services for the building or things they may be able to help, or certainly help with you know, money's the first thing we need.
Yes.
So if people want to help out, they can go to either of those websites.
Right, and tickets for Carry On Court, 963 0870.
That's it.
Ross, good to see you. Thanks for considering
You
our
too.
life.
Thank you.
On the programme, Stephanie Rumble from Flair Image. Now, Stephanie, if I wanted a fresh new look, where should I start?
Well, it really depends on what your job is and what you're doing in your life and what you need. So I think the thing is to look at your wardrobe, look at what you've got, and then go for a few basic essential garments to build your wardrobe and make it look fabulous.
Okay, so what are the essential garments there to help me complete this look?
Well, today I've visited Max and got some garments here which I'll go through with you and show you what you can do to build a new look. So I'm wearing Max today and you are as well.
Max,
So thank you, Max. So what we have here is a top. Now this is from their spring range, just a nice top here, a skirt. There's only 6 garments here, so it's very simple and straightforward. A cardigan, you can see here. Nice, simple, straightforward cardigan. You can wear this buttoned or unbuttoned. A jacket and a pair of trousers. So very simple, and you can create around 10 or 12 different looks just from this collection of clothes. And you can see a nice necklaces to finish it off as well.
So how exactly would I put them together?
Okay, so all of these clothes work really well together. So you could wear the trousers here with the top and the cardigan over the top. If it's a cold day, you can also put the jacket on. You could wear the cardigan buttoned up on its own as a top, just with the necklace and the skirt.
Okay.
So you can put the trousers on too with the jacket, just a basic singlet underneath and a necklace. So they all do work in combination. We've just picked one main colour and 2 neutrals.
Okay.
So 1 print, 1 block colour and 3 neutrals. 2 neutrals, sorry, the charcoal black and the grey.
So who are these garments suitable for?
So they're suitable for a wide range of people. I mean, again, if you're a bit conscious of your legs, you wear opaques and long boots with this kind of skirt. I would say from the 25 to 55 age group.
Okay, and how much will this look cost me?
Okay, so if you want to buy all of these garments, you're only looking around $400. These are all new season. However, you could achieve the same thing by going and buying garments on sale for probably a quarter of the price. At the moment, there are sales galore in all of the shops.
I know. What is the reason for that? Is it because it's the end of season?
Well, yeah, amazingly, spring clothes are starting to come into the stores when we're heading into our coldest month.
Yeah.
It's just the way fashion works.
All right.
Keeps us inspired for the warm weather to come.
So different sort of styles and how to wear different clothes together. Is that your blog for this week?
Yeah, yes, it's also how to build a basic wardrobe. Now, this kind of top, you're going to be looking at this at the moment thinking, goodness me, there's snow coming. How am I going to cope with this? So my suggestion is that you put a merino underneath it.
Yeah.
Yes, and then your cardigan over the top and your jacket, and you'll be nice and warm.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so on Friday night we went to the Corporate Style Club,
Oh, you
hosted by
did.
yourself and Karen. How did
Yes.
they go?
Oh, it was fantastic. We had a great night, good turnout, lovely models and great sponsors. So look, it was a really good night had by all, and we'll be running another one in September.
Let's look at the idea behind the Corporate Style Club.
So what we were doing is providing a happy hour for people to come along to after work, and also some styling tips for people at work. So how to make your corporate wardrobe interesting. Doesn't have to be boring, doesn't have to be all black. Lots of ideas about how to build that corporate wardrobe, and obviously drink, nibbles, and a chance to socialise with people in like-minded businesses.
It was actually really good at the end because you got to chat with people about which garments you liked, from which stores, and even guys were talking about it.
Yes, they were. Yeah. And we, of course, had all the special offers.
Yes.
So all of the stores gave out great offers, you know, 15, 20% off. So it's a really good thing to come to next month, next season as well, when we do our spring launch.
Let's look at some of those shops that were on profile on Friday night.
So we had Q and Veronica Main for the women. We had Andrea Moore as well for the women, and Jane Daniels. And then our male retailers were Working Style and Columbus and Wear. Now, both of those two male retailers have an interesting story, because obviously Columbus and Wear have just moved into Merivale, having lost their shop in February, and Working Style is offering a mobile service because they don't any longer have a shop.
Okay.
So beating the odds, really.
All right, Stephanie, where can we find your blog?
So flairimage.co.nz and click on What's She Wearing.
Stephanie, really good to have you on the program. Now, that is City Life for today. You can get in touch with us. Call us 3777 033. You can email me, kaneta@ctv.co.nz, or you can write to us, PO Box 1100 Christchurch. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.